All right, guys, finally, we've got the latest update. First wave, FSD version 12.4.1. This is supposed to be a major improvement overall as a software build and as for FSD. And also supposed to introduce some new features such as the vision-based monitoring, which gets rid of the nag under certain conditions. If you didn't wear glasses, or if you're not wearing a hat that covers your eyes, things like that. The camera has a clear view of your face, whatever the case may be. It shows you those, it allows you to be able to not have to touch the wheel. So we'll be able to test that out as we go along. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably have seen our last FSD video, which happened not even 12 hours ago. We published that one. Check that one out too, just to see where the state of FSD 12.3 left off before we got 12.4. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it on out, go through our current regression test path, and then we're going to go to another destination where it's supposed to be able to hunt for parking and all this wild stuff. So we'll go ahead and put the cameras up and test it out right now. I'll force the way that we need to go. So I'll turn here first. Pretty early morning, light traffic. I'm not expecting anything crazy. I'll let it reroute. And now we'll go. A little green icon is next to the yoke here. If you see here, the icon there, I think that has to do with vision-based monitoring, whether the car has a good sight line of your face to be able to recognize it and not have to give you the nag. So first turn coming up here. Let's see what the difference is here. All good to go on the left. And it goes. Lots of people here. Good job slowing down, taking his time going around them. Excellent job. Pay attention to the road. I am. Auto offset is on. So it's really dialing up the eye tracking, I think. And this is one of my concerns, is making sure that it wasn't too overly aggressive like it was in the initial rollout of 12.3, where you couldn't even look at the screen. So I was looking at the instrument panel and it kind of said, hey, please pay attention to the road. So eyes are wide open. I typically wear a hat. Hat's not on right now. Second turn. Good job. Excellent job. Winding road. Still goes a little wide. Not quite as wide. Still puts the turn signal on. I disengaged because I had to touch the yoke. I'll re-engage it. Try to touch the yoke and give it some feedback and a disengage, which is typical of when you do that when you're turning with the yoke. You typically have to let it go so it can do its thing. Squirrel, good job making a good decision. I think it's having a hard time seeing my face in the shadows, maybe. Not sure. Coming up to the unprotected left. So please pay attention to the road indicator. All clear all around. It can go straight through. Okay. Not great. Hung out in the middle of the intersection. I want to flag that one. It's having a hard time when the shadows are coming over here. It's having a hard time seeing my face, and therefore it's asked me to pay attention to the road. Now, the way that I'm satisfying that is just moving my face to a different position, hoping to catch it where you see some of the sun coming in, where it can see me. But as of right now, I can't use the steering wheel nag, if you will, to satisfy it, where it says, please pay attention. So not off to the greatest start. Definitely a little underwhelming in terms of that unprotected left, so it took it the way that it normally did. But the sun is in a pretty interesting position, sort of a sunrise, sun coming up position where it's kind of hitting all the cameras in the weird spots. That could have an indication, that could have a bearing on why it's reacting that way or why it took that turn the way that it did. But this would be typical of morning traffic. So if you want to use FSD to get to work, you're going to get these types of conditions. Good job using an abundance of caution going around the person opening the door. Still indecisive there. Didn't like that. A little bit of a hitch. Gonna flag it. Put that there. So far, it's a little rocky. A little rocky. Again, FSD 12.3 was really, really rock solid. And when I say rock solid, I mean it's becoming very predictable. And that's kind of what you want from this system, is for it to be very predictable, so that you have a level of comfort and confidence that you know what it's going to do, you know what it's not going to do. When it's unpredictable, and it doesn't do the things that you expect it to do, or does something odd, that's when people get a little nervous and don't trust it as much. Okay, again, I'm not sure what way to move. I'm not sure if the light getting higher up would be a better situation for me. My eyes are pretty clear. Overall, very smooth, very human-like, very much reminiscent to 12.3, minus that unprotected left, and the fact that it's kind of struggling when we get into shadows to see my eyes clearly, to see if I'm paying attention. It keeps hitting with the warning. I know some people have said that it kind of struggles at night to see your face. It seems to be the case with shadowy conditions like this as well. Job slowing down for the train track. I guess was slowing down for it. I'm okay with that. Just gonna make the final turn here. Pretty slow, but I'm okay with that. And here we go. Coming up to our destination. I'm going to disengage here and pull over because we're going to make another stop here. I'm going to stop right here in the shadows here. Okay, so that's pretty good for the test path. I'm not going to turn down that road like I typically do, but that's pretty good for the test path. For the test path, I think it passed all the turns in terms of the way we needed to go. I think where it kind of falls down for me is just some of the things that it did that were unique. So the unprotected left was a pass. It passed it, but it didn't do it in the greatest way. So I got a little bit of a yellow mark there. And in that regard, it dropped down the level of confidence, right? So in terms of comfort, I'm going to give it a 9. Still very comfortable. In terms of confidence, I'm going to give it an 8. And then in terms of decision making, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. And then safety, I felt pretty safe all around. There was no cars coming on that unprotected left, but it was just sitting out there unnecessarily in a situation where it always would make the unprotected left pretty much the same way every single time for the last few builds of 12.3. So a little bit of a ding there. Let's go on to our next path and see if we can't see what else it can do. Okay. Re-engage. Pretty aggressive takeoff. I don't mind it. I actually like it. But I am appreciating not having to have my hand on the yoke. That's a good plus. But these shadowy conditions make it so that it's having a difficult time reading my... Okay, good job squeezing through there. Reading my face at certain situations, reading my eyes. Not sure why. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's not under the shadows. Maybe it's under the sun that it's kind of getting some kind of glare and can't see my face. I'm not sure. A little methodical. See, I don't know where to move my head. I have to like keep bob my head back like a bird in order to satisfy this. pretty blind. Some hedges are occluding the left, so you have to kind of get far out there. It's all clear to go all around. It could just go. Really hanging out here. Really not good. Yikes. Good takeoff, good acceleration, but that was pretty awkward in terms of the unprotected left. So unprotected lefts is where it's kind of falling down. Everything else seems pretty good, but unprotected lefts is really kind of struggling to have to get all the way out there and sit in the lane. It's kind of regressing back to previous builds, back to version 11, effectively, where it kind of have to sit out there for a little bit, look around, and then go. And that's not great. That's not a great indicator. I'm hopeful that it can get better. I'm hopeful that maybe it's just these conditions of the sun, but right now it's not doing good on unprotected lefts. But I can say that the overall experience of not having to satisfy the yoke is really, really great. Back to our Elon mode builds or our fluke Elon mode builds where we didn't have to touch the yoke. Those are the most enjoyable ways that you can use FSD. That's where it becomes most valuable when you don't have to do that. So, I can do whatever with my hands and it's not a big deal. Now, obviously, if I look to grab a phone, I'm sure it'll have a problem. But just not having to do anything with them, or in particular not have to hold the yoke, is really, really satisfying. So I can appreciate that. If nothing else, that's the great thing about this build, is just not having to deal with that. And still being able to glance around at the scenery, still being able to look at the screen from time to time without it getting super aggressive. But I feel like there's something happening where it's not able to see my eyes properly. And a little bit more caution around turns as well, which is okay. I'm not complaining about that at all. Don't hit the curb, don't take it too fast. I'm okay with that. But it's a little slower on turns than it typically was. Again, flashing back to the build we just did less than 12 hours ago of 12.3.6, way smoother. Sun is giving it real problems here. I'm going to give it some accelerator here. I'm not sure what's happening. Sun seems to be giving us some real problems. Now, to be fair, this is not the cleanest car right now, so I'm not sure if some of the debris on the windshield is causing issues for the views of the cameras. As you can see, the repeater cameras and the rear camera are still pretty clear. But for some reason, it's just having some issues here with the sun. Pretty bright. Still not good. Has a turning lane signal. It didn't even go. Now it's coming to a stop. Not even creeping up into the intersection. So again, not the greatest here. Really should creep up more so we can get an opening. But I fear something is, it's a little aggressive here. Oh, please go faster. Okay. Pretty good. Shooting the gap there. But yeah, something's happening. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to keep this raw and real as usual. I'm not going to doctor it up. I'm not going to try to do it again. This is just our first pass with the new build. And maybe there's a break-in period. I don't know. Maybe the sun being in a different position will yield a different result. I'll try again with a different drive. But yeah, not off to the great start we all expected. Should stage the lane better. It's got to go straight. It's in the turn only lane. Now it gets over at the last minute. Not great. I think 12.3.6 did a little better as well. Flag that one. Not great. So we have two different extremes here. We had basically sunset last night with 12.3.6. did a great job there. And this is like sunrise, and we see 12.4.1 struggling in a lot of scenarios that in regards to the simple basic things that 12.3.6 nailed. Now, to be fair, I didn't do 12.3.6 in sunrise conditions, so maybe there is something to it about the time of day. Which would be a shame, because these are the times where FSD needs to be most valuable for people getting to work in the mornings and returning home from work in the evenings. It's slowing down for some reason. I think the sun is giving us some issues. Maybe a combination of the sun and the cleanliness of the windshield, perhaps. Needs to be in the right lane. I don't know, the way that it was staging the lanes last night was a little bit better than it had previously done. Now it seems to be regressing a bit. Staging lanes a little bit too late again. Definitely not better than the previous build in regards to staging lanes. Either on par or a little bit worse. This road is just trash. I can't come up with a better way to describe it, but it's just trash. So prepare for a lot of bumps. And not staging the lane early enough. You know it's coming. You got to get over earlier. See, it's taking train tracks a little bit more carefully. We got a complete full stop yesterday, but it seems to be slowing down significantly for train tracks in areas where it would typically just go sort of straight through. No nag is a game changer. I'll say that right off the bat. No nag is a game changer. That makes all the difference in the usability of this. That makes all the difference in the level of comfort that you have in the car, and it makes it feel like a real breakthrough. It was a real breakthrough before, but even more so now, where you don't have to keep touching the yoke or the wheel. Now, finding parking spots is something that the car never did for us on the Northeast. I think it did it for some people in California, West Coast. Um, I'm not sure. I think that this is supposed to do that, but we'll see. I think it's going to be highly unlikely that it'll do it, but happy to be surprised. This one typically tries to pull us over into the front door of this particular target, as opposed to trying to find a parking spot. So we shall see. I don't believe Target is open now, but this is a big curb. Maybe it is open. Take its time. Good job. And let's see what happens. All right, just kind of stopped. If I tap the accelerator, will it go? Doesn't go. Okay, maybe it's kind of going. To where, I don't know. Okay. Unable to complete maneuver. Now it's just turning randomly. What is it doing? It has no idea. It doesn't even visualize. It doesn't even turn into the whatever the parking mode is for the parking spots. It just kind of sits here. So this is it parking. Great. Okay, so with that said, pretty good. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's just not as much of a breakthrough as we had anticipated. Not as much better than 12.3.6, and in some areas regressing, worse than 12.3.6. So it's been a while since this has been released. There was a 12.4 release several weeks ago, and they waited and waited and waited. Then they released 4.1, which was probably supposed to fix some of these issues that we're seeing right now, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So a little bit of a regression here. So in terms of this second pass of the drive, in terms of comfort, I'm still going to give it a 9. Very comfortable without having to touch the yoke. Pretty good. Once I got a good hold on my my face and my eyes. It didn't really give me too many warnings after that, so that was very comfortable to be able to ride like that. In terms of confidence, it did everything with a lot of confidence, but there were some phantom braking situations every now and again that gave me cause to pause. So I'm going to give it an 8 there. So 8 in terms of confidence. In terms of decision making, made all the right decisions, but again, just some weird things happening. So I'll give it an 8 as well. And then in terms of safety, right? I felt safe. I didn't feel unsafe, but then again, there weren't a lot of cars around. So I'm going to give it a 9 in terms of safety, right? So a couple of 8s on this one, an 8 definitely on the first one. Unprotected left seemed to be an issue for it, and a lot of different scenarios where I think it's attributed to the sun and the glare and the cleanliness of the lens, if you will, or the housing of the cameras. It could attribute to that, but let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know what you think about this build. If you got it, if you're part of the first wave, chime in. Let me know what your experience is like, and let me know where you are. Okay? And let me know if you guys can park. If your car can park. This is, my version of the car parking. It doesn't seem to be parking the way that we expect it to park. I mean, maybe now the parking spots come up for me to like auto park. And now they come up, like now it's active. Guess I'll just do that. But otherwise, it's not parking itself straight out of FSD. Okay. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla. There we go. It parked itself. Wow, amazing.